Good evening. Hashtag our global family. This is Dre Abeita, Coyote walking in this world, and real life, a Sled Pueblo superhero. I am here with my amazing global family, and in particular, the volunteer staff for the Abeita Consulting Group and the Abeita-Sherer Community Foundation. I am going to allow my amazing family to introduce themselves because this is our second ever podcast. So again, family, welcome to hashtag ACG Warriors, Making Dreams a Reality podcast episode 2. Just real quick, the Abeita Consulting Group LLC is an international community dedicated to creating change through volunteerism, community organizing, advocacy, and blending for-profit and nonprofit entities. The Abeita-Sherer Community Foundation is our nonprofit status is pending, family. Shout out to our amazing sister Valentina, who has been leading the efforts. We are using the Abeita Consulting Group and the Abeita-Sherer Foundation as a superhero training center, providing free educational videos, webinars, and online community spaces and events. Shout out tomorrow, family. We are having our Abeita-Sherer Community Foundation Art Therapy Night. So hashtag ACG smoke break. It's going to be here, literally in this space, family. Come join us tomorrow night for a family meal, as well as working on some art therapy. We have our canvases. We successfully had our very first in-person event last month, family, and we're super excited to be hosting our second in-person event. It's only open to vaccinated family members who are not exhibiting any current COVID symptoms. Please help us keep our entire family safe. But join us tomorrow evening, family, on Zoom if you're part of our global community. But if you're in the Albuquerque area, direct message us for information about being here in person. We also have the ACG Fine Art Gallery, and it features one-of-a-kind masterpieces from our global family. Oh, yeah. Sorry, family. Yeah. We have a bad kitty here who was crashing the podcast today, Her Majesty. The art gallery is basically a model family to help support our global family of artisans and craftspeople really find appreciation for their one-of-a-kind masterpieces. 20% of all of the profits are going towards the community foundation and the raising of that nonprofit. So please check out our website at abeitaconsulting.com for more information about the amazing art pieces that we'll have available for sale. So let's get down to introducing our amazing volunteer staff positions. So I am again Dre Abeita, Coyote walking in this world, real life, a Sled Pueblo superhero, and proud to be the CEO of both the Abeita Consulting Group as well as the Abeita-Sherer Community Foundation.
Hi, I'm Kyla Charlee. I'm the CEO, COO, Chief Operations Officer. And as stated last time, it's just my job to run all the support for all the ideas, not all of the ideas. I nix a few, admittedly, that she has in order to try and keep the Abeita-Sherer Community Foundation moving. You know, hopefully forward, but sometimes we go a little sideways.
It sounds like real life though, right, family? Journeys go in all types of directions.
All right, and on to you, Miss Carolynn.
And I am Carolynn Fincke. I am the CCO, the Chief Communications Officer, and I am just helping to get the word out on all of our events.
Woohoo, family! And again, how do we make global, humanizing, transformational change by a group of superheroes? You get your family together and you start one day at a time. You get up with a dream and we just work on it. That's how we do it, family. You change the world, one opportunity, one dream, one conversation, one day at a time. So let's go ahead and we'll get down to the segments. So every week, family, we have 5 main segments, with the last segment, a moment in time, kind of altering on topics. So at the very beginning, we're going to start with a report out. And we believe, both as a nonprofit and for-profit entity, that we serve the community, and we also have a responsibility to tell you what we're doing with your donations and funds. So segment 1 is going to be our report out and telling you how we're doing. Segment 2 is personal because this Coyote is also a critical autoethnographer, and this is part of my vlogging dissertation project. So
I
these
say critical ophthalmographer 3 times. I can't even say it once. Critical ophthalmographer.
okay, hold on. Now I can't even say it. Critical autoethnographer.
Critical autoethnographer. Critical autoethnographer. There we go.
Basically, family, we write about our lives and we talk about our lives and we share how 3 amazing siblings. I did start with sisterhood family, but this Coyote has recently come out as 2-spirited, which means I have a male self and a female self. So we're going with siblings. But basically, you get your loved ones together and you're driven for a mission. So segment 2 is us sharing our daily lives. Like, for real, how do people raise a business? How do you take over the world or create a media empire? You have to start out small. So we are ordinary but extraordinary superheroes and community leaders, and we're just sharing our life with you. So the daily grind is our moment in time to be human with you. Segment 3, hashtag lived and learn, are reflections on how our process of world domination through humanizing community change is currently going. And that's basically, family, how our battle to raise a nonprofit, an art gallery, and a for-profit consulting group all at the same time, family. So we're going to tell you guys the highlights of the lived and learn. We're also going to start including, Kyla made some amazing suggestions about including product reviews. We've bought quite a bit of equipment.
Oh, yes. You can't see it because we work very hard to make sure you can't. Yeah, we're surrounded by equipment right now, and a lot of which we have learned to use when we got them.
Absolutely, YouTube. Oh my gosh. And so we're going to be sharing some of our reflections, what equipment we think works for us if you're on a budget, as we absolutely are, family. We're going to share some of those processes with you. Segment 4 is going to be our victories, hashtag ACG Warrior Victories. So we're going to be celebrating. It could be personal, it could be business, but we're going to be telling you about our triumphs and sharing our celebration with you. The last one, family, is brand new this week. It's segment 5, hashtag a moment in time. So our amazing sister Carolyn was literally saying, like, hey, where were you guys when 9/11 happened? And literally, we represent 3 different generations. And so our 5th segment today is going to be reflections on literally where we were on 9/11. Then we're going to have our last comments and thank yous. But always, family, don't forget, you can contact us at the Abeita Consulting Group at gmail.com, and always visit our website at abeitaconsulting.com. All right, family, let's go ahead and jump into the very first segment, our report out. And it's been 2 weeks since our very first podcast, and letting you guys know how this whole project's been going. Who wants to start?
Well, definitely not me. What about you, Carolyn?
I'm going to throw it back to Dre.
They're
Our
throwing me
fearless
under
leader.
the bus, you guys. Just kidding.
Presenting our fearless leader with her weekly report.
My weekly report is, family, this Coyote was stuck in a room for 3 days last week. So to be honest, we've been having a little bit of a bumpy road because we've had the false start. The 3 of us come from varying positionalities. We're looking for jobs. We're in transition phases. And we'll kind of go over that a little bit when we touch in with our personal. But we kind of put our project on hold because we had real life. We had to go to work. We had to go to our schedules. Amazing. Kyla has been applying for positions as an electrical engineer. Carolyn is an amazing warrior, educator, substitute teacher. So,
again, round of applause for her.
woo!
Our educators.
Educators! Thank you so much, Carolyn. Seriously, you're a hero. Thank you to all of our educators and support staff who are supporting our communities around the world. So literally, family, for the last 2 weeks, we've been really living real life. Because even though we're working on a company, even though we're working on a nonprofit, these guys are completely 100% volunteer. They're volunteering their time because we have dreams. right? We're literally caring people who are trying to make a difference in the world by volunteering our time and providing healing spaces. And this all literally started because Kyla and I, when COVID started, we started meeting on Zoom every day to do yoga and to do work if we needed to just kind of create support systems.
Yeah.
And then
we missed each other.
Yeah, we did, because in real life, pre-COVID, we saw each other in real life all the time. We were both students at the University of New Mexico. So yeah, COVID really made everything more difficult. So that's my report as the CEO family for the Abeita Consulting Group and the Abeita-Sherer Community Foundation. Apologies, but I always tell my people, we are transforming the world, but real life always comes first, right? This is a labor of love. We make a list, and if we get one thing done, that's a victory. That's an amazing victory. I don't know. What about you guys? Do you kind of feel about the same? You kind of put it down for a little bit?
Yeah, last week was not a good week for me. It also happened to coincide with a slight change for me, because I used to be on health insurance. Now I don't have health insurance, so a few things got a little bumpy for me last week. And just got information that one of our dogs is very sick, and there's really not much we can do for her. So this week and last week have not been the best week for me, but I'm coming back out and bouncing back and just determined to make her life as sweet as possible. I mean, I already adore her. I adore my little Penny, my sweet little girl.
And when she says little, Penny is huge. Like, she's big. I'm just saying, Penny is a sweet
She thinks she's
dog.
a lap dog.
She does, but she's literally, like, I would say as heavy or as big as Kyla, literally.
Well, not as heavy. She's
probably what, 60 pounds? Okay.
Yeah, she's
in dogs.
She's
though.
more than 60 pounds. Yeah, she's like
80
almost half
pounds?
my weight now.
Okay. I'm just saying, this beautiful little baby is a big baby. But thank you for sharing. And that's always hard too, because pets are our family. And maybe we could talk a little bit more in the next one, which is the daily grind. Because that's also important when we talk about privilege and intersectionality. Freaking pets, you guys. I love them to death, but they cost just as much as our human life insurance.
They're expensive.
So let's put a pin on that and come back. Let's talk
Not
about
literally.
that.
Don't pin your pets.
Please no.
Please don't.
Carolyn, what about you? You want to give us your check-in? Do you think life was a little bit more than our social media stuff this week?
Yeah, I would tend to go with what you said as far as, life, just living life. I, as they said, am a substitute teacher, and yesterday really got me and sucked all the life out of me, and I had to cancel a job for today because I just couldn't do it. So I'm not used to being on my feet all day, and that's one thing, but it's just when you're used to being alone or not being around very many people, when you're around over 100 kids every day, they just suck the life out of you. So I'm having to figure out how to get back into the swing of things, doing substitute teaching and trying to take care of myself at the same time.
Wow, that's okay. I love all of these themes, you guys. It came in from our little check-in, but that's an important part, right? The balance, taking care of ourselves. I think that's one of the hardest things it's one of the hardest things to do.
Something I had to learn how to do in adulthood.
Taking care of ourselves. We're not allowed to. You're almost not allowed to take care of yourself in American society today.
No, it's hard. And it's hard to make a space for that. People think that you're wussing out when you try to take time for yourself. Or like today when I had to cancel my job, I canceled it yesterday when I got home, and I just knew that I wasn't going to be ready to get back and be a good adult today. So I had to cancel, and that's not looked at as a good thing. That's looked at as wussing out, and I think we need to do our parts in trying to change that.
I love that idea. And I'm struggling with that too. When I remind myself, I try to say be kind to myself, because we beat ourselves up, right? Like
All the time.
wussing out or not making it.
Show no weakness.
Wow, you guys, we're really violent to ourselves and each other. Modern society is very violent.
I have to remind myself sometimes, would you tolerate someone talking?
Speaking to you that way.
Yeah, saw someone talking to your friends that way. It's like, no, of course I wouldn't. How dare you? But then I talk to myself that way all the time.
All right, just kidding, family. Smoke break.
Moment of silence.
Moment of silence. Don't forget, family, this Coyote is an Ivy League graduate, a published author, a ninth year doctoral candidate at the University of New Mexico, a blogger with 16,000 followers. But I'm also a medical marijuana advocate and researcher, family. Medical marijuana saved my life when I had a scare with suicide in 2018 after surviving an academic relationship with a white male tenured professor. So please, family, join me in changing your mind, in embracing critical thought and reflection. And if you have any questions about how medical marijuana might be a useful therapy, or you want more information, I'm sorry, family. I am trying to train myself to stop talking when I'm smoking. It's also part of our podcast. Yeah. Poor Kyla, she's getting deaf because this clicking noise is incredibly loud. Which is also very important for our lived and learned lessons, family. Remind me to come back to that. But recording, speaking, mic placement, it's
not easy.
It is not easy. Okay, cone of silence.
Which one of us is the pyromaniac?
It's still Kyla, you guys. It's still Kyla, just so you know.
Kyla's the pyromaniac? I'm learning things.
Absolutely, she is. So what we have here, family, is a straw. It's a glass piece usually, and I have here is butane hash oil, which is a stronger form of my medical marijuana medication. I am, again, medicated 100% of the day. I no longer have the euphoric feeling of medical marijuana, but rather it helps me calm down, it helps me center myself, and literally when my PTSD or anxiety is particularly bad, it allows me to keep my breakfast down. So like I said, family, let's start being critical about the war on drugs, because it literally threw away.
It also eliminates her motion sickness.
Oh, and motion sickness. Which is why I wish it was legal for everyone, because I know many people, Kyla, I drive like a maniac, you guys. I seriously do. And I usually drive a truck. It's a 2008 GMC Sierra 1500.
Yeah, very big truck.
It's a big truck, 4-door. It's huge. And I run over curbs. I run over a lot of curbs.
Yeah.
My poor alignment's always out. But it's also like a monster truck. Like, I can go anywhere. And so I switched over, and I've been driving my mom's car because she's doing her model. And Kyla gets sick because I drive like a maniac in a small car. Anyways, we're working that out. But I wish she could get I wish people that I knew could benefit from the anti-nausea part of this. But again, it's because of the contract of the war on drugs. Not that you would, but because that's the other thing too. Every individual person is differently. So you could try. For me, it saved my life. For someone else, it could make them very sick. They might be allergic to it. So it's like any other medication. It's like any other medication. You have to work with a healthcare professional if you're going to be using it as a medication. In some states, depending on where you are, it is a recreational drug as well. So again, protect yourself. Be careful with your social media. I do this vlog, and I'm very open about my medical marijuana use to change the narrative, to prove that people who are Ivy League graduates, who are doctoral candidates, who are researchers, are medical marijuana users as well, right? We're not just druggies or criminals or people who get nothing done, but literally it's a medication. So again, thank you for allowing me to do that. But we are, again, living and learning. Every time I do smoke, we have to have a cone of silence. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the second segment again, family. So segment 2, hashtag surviving the daily grind. So we are going to be talking us as warriors. And don't forget, this Coyote is literally proving my own original critical race indigenous-based theory, Walking as Coyote, which says that ordinary people during times of extreme need have to step up and become extraordinary. And again, family, if COVID is not a time of need, I do not know what is. So my beloved family, the sisters you see before us, Carolyn and Kyla, are warriors, literally everyday family, who are helping me battle, I want to say, justice, injustice, inequality, racism.
You take on everything when it comes up. It is exhausting to watch her.
But that's why you gotta bring your besties, you guys. You gotta bring the people who support you, believe in you, and call out your shit. Kyla's always telling me, like, you can't do that because this, that, or the other. And Carolyn's always like grounding me, and we're checking in with each other. These two, other than my partner in real life, are the two human beings that I talk to and communicate with the most in the world. But we need that, family. You need that support network. You need those people who believe in you and who care for you and who love you at the end of the day, because that's what we need, right? As human beings, going back to collectivist society, right? I'm always tearing down individuality because that's harmful to us, right? To say that every single person has to do everything by themselves is harmful.
Individualism, I think.
Yes. And that's the basis of America, right? As an individual, you have to do everything by yourself. And if not, there's something wrong with you. But as indigenous, and Kyla and I both identify as indigenous, we're born into collectivist societies, which is all about raising the entire group up. And so for me, it was weird. I don't know about you, but going to school, it was weird to have to compete against everyone else. And then almost, because it wasn't about the group, you weren't trying to help the group anymore at that point.
Well, I'm a very competitive person, so that wasn't.
Okay, that's true. Never mind. You guys, she's cutthroat. Do not play video games with her. Do not play board games with her. Be just given up all games whatsoever.
She's just bad at games. I'm not cutthroat.
That's true. I can't afford to be competitive against games, I guess.
We spend it all fighting like the real world stuff.
Yeah. I don't want to fight in my games too. That would be too much stress.
To keep them fun for her, she has to stop herself from overthinking them, which means she doesn't invest in them.
Yes, that is true. And Kyla's highly invested in a lot of stuff, which is interesting. How about you, Carolyn? How do you operate in the world?
I'm not competitive at all.
No?
No.
See,
I don't.
They're just not competitive.
I just wish everybody was nicer, you know, that people weren't always trying to step on the necks and the heads of other people to get by. So that's kind of how I think first. And then I have to take a step back and realize that people just don't work that way.
Not some people.
I love the idealism of it, but I'm always like the hardened, jaded person. And I go back to, like, we always lose as good people because the bad people will always win. There's always someone who's going to lie or cheat. And even if it's in the best situation, we have the intersectionality, and there are people who are going to be richer than us, who had the ability to buy extra experiences or to fund an extra PhD. I know some people in academia that have like 3 PhDs, you guys. I'm going to have $130,000 in debt with the one I have.
30 for me.
But, right, and school's super expensive.
I went to public school too. She went to the fancy school.
Because my parents bought into whiteness and invested in that. But even the assumption, going back to, okay, so I'm just saying that in this world, in reality, people buy their positions or they're born into their positions. And I love Carolynn's idea of, I wish we could be nice to each other, but American society in particular, because of capitalism, rewards the cutthroat people, right? Because they're going to be the CEOs of the business who do go overseas and purchase slave labor, right? In the sweatshops of children who are making our Nikes or Victoria's Secret thongs, which are actually made now in US prisons. But those people who will morally be
Bless you.
That's going to be
ambiguous.
A thing to clear up later.
Oh no, sorry.
The sound. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, now.
I'm sorry, sis. Bless you.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, so going back to that, there's going to be shady people who are going to buy slave labor. So if you're in America and you're going to hire Americans at livable wages at $15 to $20 an hour, you're never going to be able to compete via profits.
Well, yeah, I mean, there was that one CEO, I already forget his name again. Who,
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, who went from being a billionaire to a millionaire and got rid of a lot of the fancy stuff in his life just to be able to keep up with that, to pay his people a livable wage, to do all of this stuff to take care of his people. And he's still a millionaire. He's still making a lot of money. But I have read articles that have called him like a failure in some ways, or say that, well, he lost out on this much money. And I was like, well, that was his choice and he's comfortable with his life as it is. I mean, he's a freaking millionaire. But somehow that's not enough when he was a billionaire.
So we're always failing. Think about that, family. If we're always failing in the United States because you always have to be doing more, right? That was the problem with No Child Left Behind, when we had that dehumanizing legislation that said that every kid in public school, we have to do standardized testing, which, by the way, global family, yeah. So
we are way off topic.
Yeah, we are. But just so you guys know, there is no scientific evidence that shows that standardized testing is helpful at all. Like, it's a piece of crap.
In fact, evidence shows the opposite.
It is. It hurts curriculum. It hurts morale in schools. Standardized testing is horrible. But the reason we do it is because it's billions of dollars in industry. There's textbook companies that we pay to grade the test because it's capitalism in America. Yeah, I had to get off topic.
Yeah, we went way off topic. We went several tangents off topic.
Going back to why we wish everyone could be nice, we'd have to change how we think and measure success. I love the idea of the guy becoming a millionaire, but yeah, people are going to say, you're a loser now because you're a billionaire. What happened to you? Or we'll just say, oh, look at that guy, pat him on the head as humanitarian. But he's just a spotlight story. How many people are going to follow what he did?
Not a whole lot.
Yeah. The Waltons are still raking in their billions. More money than they'll ever be able to spend in a lifetime or their children's lifetime. Anyway, back on topic. Where are we?
Okay, back to the daily grind, family.
Okay, we closed up the first tangential topic. Now let's get back to the actual topic.
The daily grind. So let's go back to, I feel you though. I want people to be good as well though. Because that's why I think we're dying. Is because we keep trying to help people, but for every one person trying to help others, because of positionality, everyone else is literally struggling and can't volunteer. Think about that too. Mm-hmm. So I've taught in higher education for the last 8 years, 4 years at New Mexico High School of Social Work, 6 years at Brookline College for School of Nursing, and 2 courses and multiple years of research at the University of New Mexico. And it always goes back to, oh my gosh, I completely lost that.
Okay, well, technically we were still on a tangent.
What was our tangent?
The tangent was about kindness and collectivism. We're on the daily grind.
Going back to teaching and social work, it literally shows us that when you look at society and modern society, all of the social work programs and all the government structures we have to help poor people came out of this idea that the aristocracy donated and gave money to the poor to help them out.
Noblesse oblige.
There we
The
go.
obligations of the noble.
And that's how we treat poor people, right? As an afterthought. But it comes from dukes and lords funding the almshouses and the poorhouses, which were modern day forms of slavery. They basically swept up all the poor people and had them, work the cotton mills and farm them out to houses of aristocracy to become boot boys and kitchen maids, and that was helping, right? But that's how governments figured out, oh, we're going to use this model of criminalization, right? Because the nobility already thought of poor people as being criminals anyways. And they thought, okay, well, we need to make them productive citizens. And that was taking their labor. But now our modern governments do the same thing. So how could we change the way that we ask people to be kind instead of making it a charity thing, right? Because it's always being a charity thing. Being kind is an act of charity, not a moral standard for society.
Yep.
Is it? Is it a society standard?
I feel like I was being lectured because I didn't know about the whole aristocracy thing. So I mean, when you brought it to the modern day, it's like I'm pretty sure that's how the prison system works, but that was about it. I don't study society. So I'm going to take your word on that because you do. But yes, in general, just small acts of charity are considered kind of the norm or the passing it forward. But even then, it can usually sometimes get mixed up, like buying the next person in Starbucks line the coffee instead of tipping more. It's like, well, who needs a little bit more, the workers or the person who's intending to buy a coffee already?
Right.
Because we do. That person will probably get 20 million likes on social media being like, oh, I bought the guy behind me coffee, versus us going into the booth on election day saying that people deserve a living wage for minimum wage.
Yeah, just taking the week before to look into who's just voting. There's not a high enough vote turnout. And then there's, of course, legislation that bans voting for prisoners or people who can't make it, or they'll blow up a bunch of obstacles so people can't register to vote.
Tangential topic number 3.
Yes, tangential topic number 3. I am going to start marking these.
Smoke break! I feel like we should get one of those little whiteboards, you guys, so we can start. We'll be like, all right, tangent number 3.
X's and O's.
I do. There's one in the garage, you guys, from when I was doing weights for 2 months. Okay, cone of silence. And I don't know if that's loud for you guys, but the clicks are supposed to be really loud. Is that loud for you, Carolyn? Can you hear the...
No, it's not loud at all.
I think it's just because these microphones are more sensitive.
Yeah.
And again, family, tune in for our product reviews because we have a range of amazing microphones and they all do different things.
Yep.
And so the regular microphone on the laptop wouldn't pick up that very sensitive sound, but on here it's like huge booming.
Yeah.
And it throws off the whole signal. I was like, oh, damn it, I have to go back and undo that and then redo it anyway. And then topic number 4.
The power of editing.
Daily grind. Back to the daily grind.
All right. I'll be honest. I'm having a hard... Oh, shit. Hold on. I'm not supposed to be talking to you guys. Back to the daily grind. Topic number 1 for today I'm tossing out to you guys. Fucking focusing on shit.
We watched a short on YouTube where that was exactly what happened. We gotta focus, and they're doing everything else until the end of the game came and they died.
They got massacred.
Dirt League, by the way.
And the way that we've been getting together to try to move the company forward, and we've done a ton of stuff because we've been meeting excuse me, on Tuesdays and Thursdays for months, you guys, like literally months. I don't know, we met 15, 20 times. But I gotta say, 1 out of every 3 meetings was taken on a tangent, mostly
Yeah.
by me.
Yeah, sometimes we just don't do it. Sometimes we just lay here and watch YouTube videos or whatever her obsession lately.
I have
Whatever
a lot
she's
of
on.
obsessions.
She was on some weird British show. Now she's on some weird Korean.
It's Mandarin
Yeah.
and Korean.
Yeah, show.
Just 2 different ones. Actually, there's like 5.
Yeah, and then there's that one with the girl with the bunny ears. I keep meaning to catch up on that one because that one actually seemed interesting.
Do Lou Continent, you guys, on Amazon Prime. And it's cute. Okay, so let's go with that. As a critical race theorist, I've been watching all of these Mandarin shows to like give me energy and to make me care about the world. Because I'll be honest, all this activism work I do, it's draining and I hate it and I hate life sometimes. And I have so much human misery that I don't know what to deal with. And it's not like I'm reading a report about human misery. I'm meeting with individuals weekly and they're in front of me crying and telling me about their lives, and I'm supposed to solve those problems for them. And that's wearing on you when you're supposed to fix things. And it's not you, it's bigger stuff. So I get inspiration and losing myself in these silly shows. And they're not silly because they're amazing, but they're superhero shows and they're based on video games. And I asked Kyla about that because it has the themes of leveling up and going around and collecting things and going on quests and journeys. And so there's this funny one that I made her watch with me. And then Carolyn will come over and we'll get lost in a movie. And sometimes we'll have lunch and we'll get, we'll go through the drive-through, or I'll get stuff from Costco. So it takes us an hour and a half to peel the potatoes and cut the fruit and sit down. And then finally, and sometimes Carolyn has fur babies, so she can't leave them alone or they have medical appointments. So she'll zoom in on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then we'll get distracted because we're doing yoga. So yeah, I'd say about 30% of our work meetings turn out to be just life meetings.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that necessarily is a bad thing. What do you guys think?
I would say if you dedicate them as work meetings and had a deadline, it would be a bad thing. But no, I mean, we're friends, so we get together. Sometimes we just want to be friends.
Yeah.
Okay, let's put it this way. If we were getting paid, it would be a bad thing.
Yes, because we're not on the clock, so.
But we're all volunteers. Basically, during a global pandemic where there's people dying around us. Like, we all have been affected by this, and trauma, and scarcity of employment, and lack of funds, and just crazy. So damn it, you guys, I think we've been doing pretty darn good.
That one day that we got all that work done. No, I'm kidding.
That was a few weeks ago.
That was a few weeks ago.
That was before the fall start. But yeah, we've been, okay, so let's go ahead and check in. Okay, before we go to the next segment, the daily grind. Does anyone want to do anything else for the daily grind?
Didn't we pin about the pets for the daily grind?
Oh, pets. Freaking how expensive it is, you guys. Kyla, you want to give them the update then about the daily grind, or did you want to share anything? But I wanted to come back to that. So Kyla had touched on in her introduction about both health insurance costs and then her beloved Penny, our beloved Penny having medical issues. But in real life, during COVID, during times of plenty, when we're fully employed, we have more access, right? If you're lucky enough to be fully employed also. But one of the luxuries that Neil and I never got, but always talked about, because we're like 25 in the hole, you guys, for all the pets we've had. Over 16 years, we've had a lot of pets. Heart surgery for Copper, a uterine surgery for Rosalind. Bailey had broken her hip. Zeus, knock on wood, Steffi broke her hip.
You have to give her antibiotics.
Oh, she gets medication. They all get medication. You guys are all old now, so it's a little pet farm here. But after a while, that equates like thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
We have a credit card that we're paying off right now because last year we had a lot of pet emergencies, and so it was like $1,200 because two of them had one had surgery and the other one had a broken hip. So we had two huge major animal things happen right away. And access to credit too, family, right? Credit is also difficult to get depending on are you employed, your name, race, class, those also.
I don't even know how it works. She
Yeah.
explains it to me and I forget.
Well, and that's the other thing too, family. Think about that growing up. Who explained to you about credit cards? Depending on what community you grew up in, did your parents even have access to credit cards? I don't know. What do you think, Carolyn, about pet? How expensive it is? I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, I've been through all of that too. I'm on my second round of pets because my first two are gone now. And I went through all of the pet stuff with them, pet health stuff. My last one to pass was, she had kidney disease. And so I was giving her subcutaneous fluids every other day to keep her going. So you do what you do to give them the best quality of life that you can. And sometimes that's, really heavy on the pocketbook. And you're thankful that you do have a credit card because you can put stuff on the credit card to keep them going. And then you pay it off while the other ones are young and healthy until they get older and they need the same thing. So hopefully I have a few years on the ones that I have now before I have to go through that again.
I lived on the res. We took, if like our dog got hit by a car and was still alive, we took him to the vet school at the local technical college.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, so we take him to the vet school, and if something could be done for him, it was, and if nothing could be done, we'd have to talk about whether or not we'd essentially take him out and take him out back.
Yeah.
So that actually did come up with our dog too. My mom was the one who sat me down, like, how far are we willing to go if something can be done, but money wise, because we grew up on the res. You don't take these things in, you don't cuddle with them. It's just not really the norm to have this level, to have fur babies. You can have a pet, they stayed outside, usually. Now that my dad's gotten a bit more lenient with the dogs, that was because all the kids were like really overly invested. But my mom and her side of the family is like, no, dogs are just outside. You put out food for them sometimes. Maybe they're at the end of their life. They handled it themselves. So that was actually one of the issues, is that with our current dog, we didn't pick up right away that we needed to take her to the vet. Me, because I'm still because I automatically defer to my mom. And my mom has trouble because, dogs take care of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another layer to this whole thing. I didn't grow up with the fur baby thing being the norm. So yes, I am kind of weird to some members of my family for being so attached to my dogs.
I can hear my mom kind of chiding me a little because dogs live outside. You don't pay thousands of dollars to save them.
Yeah.
That's like ridiculous. And that makes sense from the res perspective because when our parents grew up, it was money's so precious. Why would you spend it on a dog? Precious. Right. And that's,
like I said, we went to a vet school. We didn't have a vet.
And that's actually a really good resource too.
Yeah.
But yeah. And now it's so expensive. They're a kid. They're literally another child, right? If you go to the ER, you're gonna look at $1,000 bill. If you take your fur baby and they need x-rays or they need blood tests, you're looking at $800.
Yep.
How is this like a tangent or is this part of the daily grind?
No, I think this is part of the daily grind.
Okay, yeah. So for anyone who's tuning in, yes, this
is segment 2, the daily grind
Yes.
family, where we're sharing little bits of
Segment
our
2.
own life, and pets are
Segment
a huge
2,
part
part
of our
E.
lives. Part E?
I have no idea. I wasn't keeping track.
I think it's part 2. B.
In segment 2, we went off on the tangent.
This is episode 2, segment 2.
Yeah, episode 2, segment 2. But what part is whatever?
Oh, we're still in the daily grind though.
Yeah.
But we're supposed to go individually, but I think we're kind of just all sharing.
Yeah,
I think we covered it.
All right, let's go ahead and check in, family. Well, you know what? It is a Friday night, and to be completely honest, this coyote wasn't ready for this. So I am just super proud that we did it. So, woo, we did this.
She kind of blew it off all day.
I did. I was like, can we go to the mall? What if we go out to eat? I'm really tired. Kyla's like, no, take a nap. We're going for food. And I'm like, okay. And I was like, but I have to go get a shower and put makeup on. She's like, well, I'm going to set up and you go put your makeup on. I was like, okay. So, woohoo,
Then I
family.
set up and an hour later she finished.
It takes a minute to put this face on. I'm just saying. Okay, smoke break.
Cone of silence.
Cone of silence. Wait, where is cone of silence from?
It comes from Get Smart.
Get Smart.
Just-
That's where it's from.
Yeah,
I was like, that's a pop reference.
yep. That's one of those things that people talk about and they don't realize where it's from.
I do feel like a pyromaniac. Kyla's making me admit I'm a pyro.
Yeah, it's just not the same without the smell of sulfur.
Oh my god! I take it all back. She is totally the pyro family. Kyla gets the title.
Set a few fires and you're labeled as a pyromaniac.
It's not the same.
No one got hurt.
What did you just say? It's not the same without the smell of sulfur?
I like the smell of sulfur. Like when you light a match or when you light the fireworks.
Sulfur, like rotten egg sulfur.
Well, not quite the rotten egg part of it, when it's all sparky.
I'll take your word for it, Sparky. Okay, we're gonna go on, family. Don't forget, again, I am a medical marijuana advocate and researcher. Medical marijuana saved my life, family. Let's decriminalize the war on drugs. Segment 3, hashtag lived and learned. Reflections on how the process of world domination to humanizing community change is currently going. We have some amazing goals for next week, family. Let's talk about that. And then we can report back in 2 weeks of whether or not we actually did them.
I have no idea. We had goals for next week. She tells me the goal and I say, okay, we do this. Or we could do that.
No, we totally do.
We do?
Our goal was... Okay, just kidding, family. No, we totally had goals, family.
She might have talked about the goals.
Our goals were the website. We're gonna post. Kyla edited our very first podcast episode.
Yes, I did.
So we were gonna post that on the website.
Oh, right. Okay, we're gonna
post the very first web podcast on our website.
We're gonna do all the updates and stuff to the website that we're supposed to do this week and last week.
There's gonna be a brand new face,
Yes.
family. I'll be honest. True confessions. I threw together our website in like 3 days, learning how to do WordPress. It's horrible. I didn't know how to do Photoshop. It was my first week with PixArt, so they're grainy. And literally, I keep getting all these solicitations about fixing my website. So I'm like, damn, it must be bad. But anyway, so yeah. So one family, check in with us. Call us out in 2 weeks if we report back we have not done this shit. Because for real, we also need accountability. We're asking for your donations to help support these projects, right? And again, at the end, I'll give you guys the pitch and talk about the projects. But one of them is our Sister's Dreams, which is baby clothes to Indonesia to help our amazing educational psychologist scholar, Leah. Literally, her dream family is to sell American clothes because last night, check in our live broadcast last night on our podcast for our Coyote's global family, which is an amazing group of women who are academics who check in with their daily lives from Madagascar, Indonesia, the East Coast, and from here. And shout out Neritza. I'm hoping you'll start joining us to give us the lowdown on what's going on in Arizona, and also as a third space Puerto Rican scholar. She is a badass family, so I'm hoping she'll join us. But so yes, goal 1 is to update the face of our website. Goal 2 is to post our very first podcast. And goal 3, family, is Carolyn is going to bring her scale and we are going to weigh out and pack pottery. And that goes back to our lessons learned later. That's what we're doing right now, right?
Lessons learned.
Right now.
Segment 3, lessons learned.
Woo!
Above us.
Segment 3.
At some point.
Oh my God, we should totally learn how to do that.
I have an idea of how to do that. I just need your password to use the video editor from Adobe.
Word. Okay, pretend you didn't hear that,
yeah,
anyone.
No one heard that.
Woo! Edit out later. But anyways, we're gonna figure out how to do all this nifty stuff. But
subscribe for us to use Adobe for free.
Yes, please come sponsor us, family. We need sponsorship because we're trying to support our global family. We're trying to support families in Africa and Indonesia. We're trying to support educational materials. And we literally, tomorrow night, family, if you're free in Albuquerque, like I said, come on over. We're doing paint night. You get a free canvas. We hang out. We talk about life. We do our therapy. We meet people. It's a great event. We talk about healing and wellness. Yeah, it's amazing. Okay, so going back to the last one, which is weighing in. So Carolyn's going to bring her mailing weight. Carolyn, share your story, if that's okay, about mailing, because we literally are going through all these extra steps because of what had happened to you.
Give me a little bit more of a prompt there.
Oh, about
I'm a little out there high and dry.
I'm sorry, family. I feel like I should have like not telekinesis. Telepathy. I'm like, Carolyn, this is what I'm thinking. Neil gets in trouble for that all the time, you guys, because I'm like, didn't I tell you? And he's like, no, that was in your brain. And I was like, damn it, I didn't say it out loud again.
We do not have the air running.
The cards, about your cards and shipping.
Oh, yeah. So I was going to be shipping, I sell a pack of cards for 6 for $25. And I thought, if I just add on $5 for an additional $5 for postage, that ought to be enough. And it was so much more expensive than that, and it cut into my profits. So lived and learned. I started weighing out things before I gave, before I added on those costs for shipping, because I had no idea how much extra it was going to be.
And so, I have a ridiculous memory, family. And so Carolyn, I believe at the time, quoted me $12, which is the actual cost. And so think about that. She charged $5. That's $7 extra out of her $25 profit. You just lost what, a third of her profit?
Yep.
Yeah.
Woo, that's rough, sis.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, how about taxes? Have you been successful in calculating taxes, or is that pretty much just straight usually?
That's just straight. Yeah. Because I haven't really earned enough to really get into taxes. Otherwise, you have to go the going rate of whatever the taxes are in your area.
7 point something.
Sales tax, yeah, 7 point whatever or 8 point whatever.
Yeah, it might have gone up. I remember the tax thing from when I worked for Cutco for a bit.
Right.
Well, find that out, family. When you make a purchase at abeitaconsulting.com, we will have the appropriate state tax.
Yes, we will do the math for you.
Absolutely. And that's part of it. When you think of a business, these are all the nitty-gritty details that you have to work out. So we've learned from Carolyn's experience that we have to be pinpointing how much it's actually going to cost us at the end of the day for shipping. And with the AGC Fine Art Gallery family, we are literally going to be delivering to you one-of-a-kind masterpieces that are they're expensive. And hashtag privilege saves during COVID, family. You will be paying 2 to 3 times what you would normally pay for these pieces of art, but that's because these are sustainable prices. We are literally going to be giving the artists twice what they would normally make during one transaction for one piece of art. In addition to that,
artists don't make enough.
They literally don't make enough, family.
My brother is constantly undercutting how much he sells his painting for. They're actual hand-painted oil paintings. They are full oil paintings. They're very detailed. They are beautiful. And he goes out of his way to make sure he has great quality. He does all the canvas and the framing himself. And he constantly undercuts how much he's selling them for because he thinks, people aren't going to buy it when it's really, really expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to reiterate, family, New Mexico is a poor state. And so even though some people would like to pay more, it really is kind of inexpensive because we cannot afford to pay them what they're worth. These artists need to be making hundreds of dollars per an hour for these masterpieces when really they're getting undercut to dollars or pennies on the hour. When you look at what they're charging for something that might take 100, 200 hours. Months, plus research, plus materials. When you're looking at, say, example, the Jeremy Singer beautiful masterpiece behind me, which is going to basically be mine forever and ever, family. I love this piece. Oh my gosh. Jeremy, you are the bomb. Thank you so much for selling this to me at the Flagstaff Art Festival one year. You inspire me. You're amazing. And speaking of Kyla, would you like to give a shout out to your brother's work in his art gallery?
Yes, my brother is an amazing oil painter, and you can find his stuff at, well, I'll put an insert here, www.artofallancharlie.com. And he's currently with the Wild Hearts Gallery up in Placitas, which is by Santa Fe, up in Rio Rancho. You just drive north on I-25, drive past Albuquerque, you can find it. Look it up Google Maps.
And absolutely, family, we are hoping to get donations to actually hire her brother to come and teach a painting class with us.
Or boxing. He's a boxer, by the way.
Or boxing. So, family, DM us if you would like to donate to either of Kylie, or I should say the Charlie family projects, the boxing fund, because let's be honest, I am always slightly prepping for some sort of end of the world disaster, which is why I still have throwing knives over there, you guys. We're going to learn throwing knives. We're going to learn firearms. Cardio is life. So we would like to hire her brother to help us with boxing. He literally has done it professionally, right?
Yeah, he's been in matches.
And he's trained, and that is what's amazing about our community members in Albuquerque, family. We look around and the wealth is everywhere. In addition, he is a master painter.
Yes.
And we literally would like to give small stipends to our community members. At this point, family, you have been watching our events, and we've been having them throughout COVID. We've been having panels on topics like medical marijuana, on healing and wellness. We've been doing various topics on podcasts, and we've been doing the community events. But it's all been free. Everyone has been volunteering 100% of the time, especially these two who drive literally across town from Rio Rancho and the Conwood area to the South Valley so that we can rally and provide this amazing content to you guys free of charge for everything. But our ultimate goal is to be a nonprofit, to be a foundation, and to provide stipends to Mr. Charlie for his services. So again, family, if you would like to donate to either a boxing project and be an active member of our Coyote family, or if you're interested in supporting stipends for local artists to come and give classes through the Abeita-Sherer Community Foundation, please direct message us or email us at the Abeita Consulting Group @gmail.com.
Plug.
Okay, Carolyn, Kyla, does anyone have anything before we go on to the next segment?
Right,
No.
we're on a segment.
And we were on the lived and
prompt.
learns this week.
Lived and learned.
Any more lived and learns? And so again, for accountability, family, we are going to fix the website and update it, post our very first podcast, and we are going to report back to you how much it's going to charge for us for shipping for the pottery, which is literally why Carolynn's going to bring that weight over. And again, if you guys sell any products, if you're thinking of creating a website or shipping anything or having a business that has anything to do with shipping, this is a huge cost, family, unless you're a big corporation like Amazon and you can get a deal. Shipping costs through UPS, through USPS, thank you, can be considerable, like we found out through Carolynn's story. So you have to do your research. In addition, family, we want to make sure if you're making a purchase through the ACG Fine Art Gallery that your fine art gets to you in one piece, right? Like the amazing Jeremy Singer behind us, plug.
You do not want this banging around in a big empty box.
Absolutely not. So all of those art pieces are going to be coming double boxed. So we have the bubble wrap family, we have the peanuts, we have the various sizes of boxes. So all of our art pieces are going to be coming double boxed, and they will have that 2-inch space with an additional bubble of safety and security. And you can purchase additional insurance to make sure that you're one of a piece masterpieces makes it to you. And in case anything happens, you can purchase that additional insurance to replace it. Heaven forbid. But when you're launching your own business, family, those costs that you wouldn't normally think about do add up. And you want to make sure that you're not taking that out of your profit, out of your pocket. In addition to that, when you're doing credit card companies, family, those 2% fees, 2.3% fees really can add up. So you want to make sure that you're also, unfortunately, customers passing on those costs, because we are living during COVID, family, and a lot of people are fleeing the what would I call it, traditional economies, and trying to literally make their livings through their own businesses. And we want to make sure that we're supporting small businesses. So these tiny details when it comes to raising your own businesses are key, family. What did they say, that you're not in the red or you're not in the black until the second year when you raise a company?
I have no idea what they say about companies.
It's something like that. It's an old adage. Maybe I'm too old, you guys. But they do say it does take you some time before you can, really start creating a profit. All right, family, let's go ahead and go to the next segment, which is for #ACG Warrior Victories, celebrating our everyday victories. All right, let's go around and find one victory we'd like to share.
I like to go. I have big victory this week. I got 2 job interviews, and I feel like I knocked the first one out of the park, and I feel like I did well for the second one. I'm very happy, and I look forward to hearing back because I'm very eager to start working again.
Woo! Sorry for late editing later, but that's awesome. I'm super excited, you guys. And that's crazy too, because it's a miracle. COVID, I'm just saying, COVID and jobs are hard to come by. So Gammy's been sending angels, and Kyla is an amazing engineer anyways. So I've been telling her it was only a matter of time. So now we're actually prepping with the idea of going back to work though.
Yeah, that's gonna work funny with this whole schedule.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Absolutely. Carolynn, what's your victory or celebration?
Well, I don't know. I guess that I have been surviving student teaching. And even though I had to cancel my job for today, I still have been doing it. I still enjoy doing it. It just knocks the wind out of me.
Sometimes you need a break.
Yep.
And I gotta give you kudos for calling that too.
Right.
I would have probably forced myself.
I would have tried to power through it, man. I am not that and I would have been a horrible adult today.
And then I would have canceled on you guys, and then I would have been grumpy tomorrow. So kudos to you for like being an adult and like protecting yourself and standing up for yourself, like for real. Yay!
Maybe that's more my victory than actually surviving student teaching. It was knowing to give myself a day off.
Yep, it is a great victory.
Love it. I love it.
And what about you, Dre?
Let me think, family. I think it has been calling on my support system. Neil's out of town again. I know I'm 40. I know I'm a grown adult. I know I have lots of responsibilities. But every once in a while, you guys, I feel like a hopeless or a helpless kitten. And I call Kyla, I call Carolyn, and my mom slept over twice this week, you guys. And Kyla's sleeping over tonight. And Carolyn would, but she has her fur babies. So
Yes.
we're zooming and hanging out. But I'm proud of myself for not losing my shit this week.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yay! So don't forget, family, you can be 40, you can be 70 and still need sleepovers. I'm just saying, if it's going to keep you sane, who cares? Just do it. Do it.
Amen.
Last segment, family, before we do our final reflections and thank yous, is hashtag a moment in time. Critical reflections on current and historical topics. And today is hashtag reflections on 9/11. Whew. And I think that maybe if we could include a little bit about our positionality and start with, as Carolyn prompted us earlier today, because that's how this whole conversation started, is where were you on 9/11? 20 years? Oh my gosh. 20 years ago tomorrow. I'm old, family.
Yep.
Who wants to go first?
I'm older. I'll go first since I suggested it. Yeah, I think we've all experienced this moment in time very differently. And I like to make that known to people how, yes, we can, the three of us can work together on our shared project, and our age differences don't get in the way. But when we're talking about things like 9/11, our age differences are very different. I was working, and I was working in a Gap store in the Cottonwood Mall. I was getting ready to go to work. My mom called me for some reason, and she told me, "Have you seen the news?" And I said, "No, I'm still laying in bed." And she said, "Well, turn on your TV." And the moment I turned on my TV, the first tower collapsed. And that's how 9/11 got started for me that day. I think my report time in for work was 11 a.m. So I went ahead and went to work, and almost as soon as I got there, they sent us home and they shut down the mall. And I came home and sat glued in front of the TV, because then the next day the mall was still closed. And I sat in front of the TV literally nonstop for days. And still every time there's a show that comes on, I'm going to start crying, and I'm sorry. There's a show that comes on that talks about 9/11. I watch it, and it's just a touchstone to me. That moment in time is like a bookmark. It's like my life before 9/11 and my life after 9/11. And I think you'll see a lot of people, maybe my age or older, having the responses that you're seeing me have right now, because they do feel like that. They do feel like that was a bookmark in time, and it was something that was very poignant and just a scary thing. You know, people my age have never gone through anything like that. Our wars have pretty much been, we hadn't had wars up to that point. And so the 20-year Afghanistan war was the beginning of it. And it's very, very poignant to me.
Thank you so much for sharing, sis. I'll go next. I guess we'll go in order of age. I was, and I have a horrible memory, first of all, family. Coyote has like a 30-second memory. But I want to say this was when I was Parkhursted from Dartmouth College. And this Coyote, it's ironic, and I was just telling Kyla earlier that I became an academic because I was horrible in school. I flunked spelling in the 5th grade. I flunked religion in 8th grade. I did odd assignments, you guys. I did a book report on the Thornbirds at a Catholic school in the 6th grade because I was bored with the book. And then I did a thing in War and Peace in like the 10th grade. Like I made up my own assignments. It was weird. Anyways, so I didn't like school and I was failing out of Dartmouth because it was imposter syndrome and all these rich white kids. And I was a kid from the res. Even though I had gone to private schools, I was still a kid from the res. I lived there my whole life. So I didn't, and you're going to an Ivy League school with kids who have gone to Exeter and they had nannies and they had trust funds and Hummers. And I had been around rich kids, going to St. Pius High School in Albuquerque, Mexico, and going to summer camp at Albuquerque Academy every single summer because my parents had literally invested in whiteness. I had seen wealth, but Ivy League was a different level of wealth. And so I got othered, and you're going to classes with these professors that wrote the book on whatever the topic is. So I would hide a lot and I would ditch classes and I would do the work. So when I did the work and passed the classes, I could do it with not as much effort compared to some of my other counterparts on the res who had gone through res schools and had not the same writing skills that I had command of at that point in my life. And it's a skill that's always been very helpful to have traditional academic skills that are taught in higher level academic institutions. So private schools do teach you how to be a professional writer, how to be a researcher, how to be a public speaker, how to navigate in the echelons of power, because that's how power is reproduced in America. So I felt like a fish out of water and flunked out my sophomore year. So when 9/11 hits, I'm back in New Mexico where my rest of my classmates are still at Dartmouth. And I'm selling perfume. I'm literally going door to door and shop to shop with some friends. And I tried vacuum sales, I think. And I had tried perfume sales, and I had gotten fired as a receptionist for a veterinarian place. You guys, I was horrible. I was not a very good worker. Now I'm better, you guys. Believe me, I'm a badass now. But when I was a kid, as a sophomore in college, I don't think I had the same skills or drive. So I'm literally selling. When you're a salesperson, and they probably still do this now, you go to a storefront, and they get all these kids, they put an ad in the newspaper, and they're saying, here's your 20 bottles of perfume, go out and sell them for $20 a pop. You give us $10, you can keep the other $10, and that's your pay, right? And so I'm doing this on 9/11, and I'm literally out there, and we're at a dealership. So we would drive around, and they make you drive your own cars. So you have to drive around to like stores or just places where people are and hit them up and say, would you like to buy this, perfume? And we saw it on the TV. And we were trying to sell perfume, trying to hawk perfume. And you see the images. But it didn't mean anything to me. I didn't understand. I'm also, 19, 20 years old. And so politics don't really mean anything. And I don't I don't hate to say this, I have to say this because I'm a critical race whiteness intersectional scholar. And what I think about when I'm hearing Carolynn's very moving and poignant and personal reaction to that moment in time, I don't have that same connection. And it didn't mean that to me because I honestly feel as a person of color, I had already been exposed to a lot of tragedy. And personal tragedy, like I had been raped and molested as a child as a ramification in boarding school. So the idea of a terrorist attack, and I had family members, and had heard about people who had served in the military. So I guess I wasn't as horrified because I had personal experience with that, or with tragedy and with, I had learned very superficially about the civil rights movement. So in my memory as like an 8th grader in high school, I can remember hearing about the violence and assassination of people of color. Not in the depth or the breadth that I do now as an academic and having taught it for many years, but as a kid, I still remember that. So I guess for me, Two Towers, in the bigger sense of history, it wasn't personal to me. It was a political response to what we do. And I don't think I had that critique of it at the time, but it made sense to me that we got attacked because we were colonizers. And I was still a colonized person. So it made sense. It was retaliation. And because I guess in my perspective, we had always been at war because that's what it is to be a power. And maybe I'm projecting that now as an adult, but I don't have a personal connection to 9/11. Like I didn't take it personally. It was historically, it made sense to me. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay, so that's where I was. I was selling perfume.
I remember very well that day. I can't tell you what day it was. I can't tell you how old I was. Carolyn had to tell me how old I was.
So how old were you?
8-ish, I think.
8-ish.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Anyway, I was in elementary school, and I only really remember that day because the teacher was crying. I was like, hey, a teacher's crying. And they had some kind of weird thing over the intercom. But I was in elementary. I was still developing. I was itty bitty. At the time, it meant quite frankly nothing to me. Even growing up, it's just something people would talk about. That still meant nothing to me. It was just words, just something older people get fussy about. No offense, Carol. I'm sorry. That was not the best way to say that. It was just.
But it goes to our age gap too, because for you, you were 8. It's a historical event for you.
Yeah. People talk about, well, after 9/11, this changed. I was like, well, it's always been that way to me.
I think maybe the difference too in age is that I had a dad and uncles who fought in World War II. So war wasn't that far away from me, even though my dad was older.
Because that actually is kind of a sore point for me because I'm Navajo. In almost every Navajo family, there is someone who went to war.
Yeah.
There's every branch, every generation. My sister is a veteran, and while she wasn't in the war directly, thank God, she was still deployed. Mm-hmm. And my grandpa, my uncles, my aunts. So that kind of triggered my snarly bit. That's a little, I'm sorry, Carolyn, but that's a little sensitive with white people, especially. I'm trying to dig into that. It's just, war was the personal stories that fucked up some family members, and then the others. So I guess kind of like what she said too, it was always a part of my life, the conflict.
Violence is part of our
I lived on the
lives.
freaking res, man.
Well, because we were also the enemy. So I'm thinking about, because that does
There is no
touch a
tranquil
nerve.
life. There was no tranquil life for the people I knew.
Because we were the ones that the enemy was killing before. And so many of us served in military, like our grandparents and parents and uncles and everyone, because of the benefits. You were a citizen. Like, even though we got citizenship, you guys, Native Americans still couldn't vote. Like, on the books, we got it, what, 1928, 20? It's either 20 or 28, I can't remember.
I don't know. I vaguely remember that it was like 1950 something that New Mexico became a state.
But that's when we actually started getting
Okay.
real rights. But people would make those strategic moves, like be in the military, not only because it was their patriotic duty and they were supporting their families, but also because they could do things like vote, or they could access, okay, even though people of color only got 2% of all the home mortgages after World War II via the Veterans Act, if you were a vet, you still had access as a Native person to housing if you were a vet or served in the military over anyone else on the res. So not only was our patriotic duty, but because of whiteness and coloniality, we had to take on those life-threatening positions because it also made us human in American society.
I remember my grandpa once sat me down. He's like, Kyla, you will never join the military. Never, ever. You will go to college. And I'm going to say right now, the closest I got to tranquil growing up was because my dad kept me in the house. And just side note, that kind of messed me up in a different way. But listening to my brother and my dad's stories, listening to the heartbeat of my community, I was othered by being locked, essentially placed in the house. It's like, you stay close to here. You will go to college. I was like the princess in the tower in that little home. Also contributed to my breakdown in college, but we're not getting into that right now. So sorry, Carolyn, I kind of like opened up a whole big thing. And I know that wasn't your intention. Some part of me though is just get sensitive, and then that comes out, I will snarl because I don't know how to deal with my anger. And I did not know that that was there. We completely cut you off, Carolyn. Sorry about that.
We're sorry. But hold on, let me smoke and then let's go to your family service. Because that is the same for white communities as well, is access to the military also brought their family benefits. But hold on, let me smoke. This is a very important conversation, but we're also friends and we all love each other. So we're doing this with love. But this is also important shit, you guys, because we're unpacking like important personal shit, and we all know each other and we love each other and we spend a ridiculous amount of time with each other. But use this example in your own lives. Like, how often do you have one? We're all within 10 to 15 years difference from each other. We're all of different socioeconomic background, educational background, class background, racial identities, religious backgrounds. Like, between the three of us, we're basically as different as people can be, but yet we're still working together all the time, communicating, checking in with each other, creating community. And fucking tonight, we're ripping band-aids of hard shit. But how often does this exact trifecta happen, right? And how can you make that happen in your own lives with your own people that you love? Because this is literally how we transform society. When white people, people of color, and diverse people come together and talk about historical pain, right? We're talking about trauma that affected us 2-3 generations ago, but still hurts us here. And we still take personal because it is personal, because it is part of who we are. And so I'm encouraging you guys to be inspired by this hard conversation and go and have it with your own friends and family, because this is important. Okay, I'm gonna get off my high horse. Also, you guys, when you see me do this, I'm hiding my bulge. I'm not like giving you body language stuff about crossed arms. I'm literally hiding my bulge. I'm telling you guys, chocolate. When Neil's out of town, I eat like 10 pounds of chocolate.
Come silence.
Kind of silence.
Yeah, if you see me fidget, it's because I need to move and have something to do with my hands.
But this is also real life people, real people doing amazing shit and being normal. That's the other thing. How much media do we consume that's fucking fake? We always tell you the truth here, family. Brutal honesty.
As we remember it.
Well, it's not that we alter it on purpose. It's that we really can't fucking remember.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. All right, Carolyn, we're going to give you the time because we cut you off.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so my dad was in World War II, and he had a wounded brother and a brother who was killed in action. So when 9/11 happened, I just thought about how he must have felt that World War II was happening all over again for him, like Pearl Harbor, you know. I immediately thought about if he felt like this is what it felt like when Pearl Harbor happened.
I think that's a great comparison. That it literally is of that generation.
Yeah.
Terrible, yeah.
You know, just an attack on our soil, even though Hawaii wasn't one of our states yet, but it was an attack on our soil. And yeah, and I was scared to death. I didn't know what it meant.
That makes sense. I mean, at the time, you were the adult that was able to contextualize and actually process it. We weren't.
Yeah.
I was trying to sell perfume.
Right.
I was trying to make gas money, y'all.
Well, I was trying to sell jeans and t-shirts, you know, because I was working in the Gap store. So I wasn't too far from you, but
well, I didn't also have a political consciousness.
Yeah,
I was
I
a
didn't either
Republican at the time because my dad was my adopted father at the time was a Republican. I didn't know what that even meant.
Secondhand smack you.
I know. I changed, you guys. As soon as I figured out I got to college and figured out what a Republican was, I switched real quick.
Well, my dad was a card-carrying Republican, God bless him. And he fought for it. So I kind of feel like he could be whatever he wanted to be. And he liked Rush Limbaugh, you know, who at the time was not who Rush turned into.
There's our age gap.
Yeah.
Ask me. Rush Limbaugh is
He's gone.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Okay. He was a talking head, a radio host, right? For forever.
Like that Howard Stern guy.
Yeah, except for like an old white right-wing Republican dude.
Yeah. Very right wing.
I love you, sis, but I have to push back a little. Like,
being a veteran doesn't automatically make it okay to agree with policies that hurt and marginalize other people.
Because that's like McCarthyism.
His
supremacy.
Well, McCarthyism, you know, aside, which I don't believe that he believed in McCarthyism either.
I don't know what McCarthyism is. Help me.
McCarthyism is based off of the name John McCarthy, who started like played into the Big Red Scare, wherein they would play up the threat of communists so they could accuse people of being communists and bring them into court and criminalize them.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
So
anyway, that's all I was saying.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I just,
I wasn't even talking about McCarthyism.
Indigenous person, like, it's hard to agree with any of the U.S. policy, basically. Pretty much.
Well, of course, because every U.S. policy has been, you know.
But I'm just wondering, like, I'm throwing this question out there. And audience, please comment. Please add your comments to
If
this.
you're still listening,
If you're still listening.
if you come into the podcast and we're just picking up sections.
Absolutely. I want us to think about that. Like, I laugh whenever I watch a movie about America being invaded. Like, we're huge. Like, there's a lot. And that comes out of McCarthyism, going back to Kyla and Carolyn's reference of being afraid of being invaded by communists, right? So being afraid of being invaded by China or Russia, depending on the time period of the war, or Cuba.
Look up the word nationalism.
But we're so fucking huge, you guys. We're huge. We're millions of people. Like, it is geographic, strategically very difficult to overtake the 50 states of the United. But people are afraid of that. Like, it doesn't make sense to me why we would be afraid. Like, okay, people in Albuquerque, New Mexico, yes, we should have some degree of fear because we have the national labs here. So we're on a bomb list in case there ever is like World War III.
We are, still kind of close to where they tested the bombs.
And we're still intimately connected. But that is unique to New Mexico.
Then there are other uranium mines.
But I'm saying, and that's again unique to New Mexico, America as general, dear fellow Americans.
White America.
Well, because that's, and going back as an academic, this is literally white fear, white guilt. But are we really afraid of being invaded? Like, yes, 9/11 was horrible. But were we really that terrified that it was going to happen to all of us after that? Like, just logistically, I run the numbers for everything, you guys. Literally everything.
Yeah, she does. And then sometimes she asks me to double check the numbers. Like, Andrea, you're way off.
Yeah. But I'm saying, like, when we're talking about the idea of fear, and the sociologists who study this, what we actually fear in real life versus what we should fear in real life, is terrorism something we should fear? Because American policy, they pushed huge draconian laws against us. We lost privacy. They're spying on us. We lost a whole bunch. Like, don't even get me. We should bring in an expert to talk about the Patriot Act and all the stuff we did lose.
Yeah, that is its own little side panel one day. It's like there's a whole topic about this whole thing. I actually did give it a lot of thought like a few months ago, that you were talking about security and how you value privacy, but I grew up with the idea that the measures the Patriot Act inflicted, like being able to listen in on people through their phones, through et cetera, having this level of monitoring by the state is normal. So to me, privacy is an odd thing. Whereas to her, it was an inalienable right taken away. So that's its own little conversation at another time.
But we did give up that right because of the idea of fear that we would be attacked. But when we run the numbers, it would be really difficult to literally conquer us as the United States. Like, militarily, it doesn't make any sense. So like, I'm just saying, like,
Americans should probably have a say in what it's like to be invaded.
We have been invaded.
The Hawaiians. Oh, just a quick little plug. If you want to learn just a very quick snippet of how Hawaii became a state and why that's a very messed up story, Adam Ruins Everything does a very good snippet on it. YouTube it.
But it goes back to socialization as an American citizen. I think, sis, your reaction to that is personal and timely. It has to do with your positionality that is different from ours, but it's also the classic socialization for Americans. We were told to be afraid of this. We were given billions of images of the burning buildings, of jihadism, of scary Muslims, because my first interaction with my Muslim sisters and brothers happened in my PhD program 8 years ago when I started. And I still have assumptions of what Muslim people were and had semi-fear, and that Muslim women, there's a book, Muslim Women Need Saving. And I had that American mentality that they were subjugated, that a hijab was a human rights abuse. And I had to be re-educated on what being a Muslim was. But that came from the 10 years before that of 9/11 re-education to fear them. So
representation matters, people.
So literally, sis, your reaction to it, everything you're doing was genetic. It was specifically engineered by our politicians and our media for us to have that reaction. for it to be personal. And that's what social control is, right? That's why you have to create a war. You have to have an enemy, and you have to fear that enemy. And you have to rally all the people and say, those guys are going to come wipe us all out if you don't give me your power, which is why I'm still miffed about the loss of rights. That Kyla has, again, no orientation with, because she was already born in the period of subjugation that I'm so cranky about. I don't know. How do you feel about that, Carolyn? Were you upset about the loss of rights to the Patriot Act?
I felt like at the time, I felt like some of it was necessary, but some of it was overstep.
I actually wrote a paper on that stating it was about that guy, Snowden. I actually wrote a paper about that in my first year of college.
Oh, Snowden.
Wherein I stated that privacy was a privilege, not a right. I do not believe that anymore, but that's what I said because that's what I grew up with.
Right.
Ow! That makes my heart.
There are lots of other kids out there, Andrea, that never challenged that.
All of them, like 99% of them. I know, but that's why my heart hurts, you guys. Okay, fine, like 90% of them. But that's what social control and government propaganda is about. It's about creating those enemies.
You are not immune to propaganda. The more you think you're immune to it, the more susceptible you are to it.
Basically. And again, I'm not saying do it in a tokenistic fashion of go get a Muslim friend. No, that's horrible, you guys. You have to create authentic relationships and go do the work.
Like, yeah, that's the biggest thing, is that it's work. Every day it's work.
Because even though we're reflecting on 9/11 now, and I want to reflect on this too, because I was thinking about this when Sis Carolyn first brought up the topic, and I've been angry. I've been very angry, you guys, about the U.S. Political systems and our governmental's response to COVID throughout the whole fucking up until now. And now our government's supposed reaction is that, oh, it's all fixed. Like, we don't have to support anyone now because everything's back to normal, which is more devastating than ever. Evictions are happening now. Unemployment is rising. Homelessness is rising. When you see numbers go down, family, especially if you're not elite, those numbers are false, right? If you stop looking for a job, the unemployment numbers go down because you stop looking for a job. And so the government literally has not taken enough responsibility over the devastating effects of COVID. But 9/11 was one day that took away so many of our inalienable rights, so much of our privacy, affected so much of our lives, instilled so much fear in so many Americans of the wrong group, the wrong population. We fear every single fucking Muslim person in the world, regardless of what country they come from, because of this one event. And COVID has affected millions around the world, has been the single most catastrophic event. And 18 months later, our government literally is like, we're done. 9/11 happens. It changes our entire trajectory of our empire. COVID happens. We're done.
You know, all the symptoms you're eliciting, isn't that what happened to Rome right before they fell and millions of people died?
Oh yeah, it's on a lot of academic topics right now, you guys. Oh. We're an empire in the end.
I read that burning. On Tumblr.
It's on Tumblr. But I'm just saying, we did more stuff politically and affected our empire more because of one terrorist attack that was horrible. Yes, I know that. But COVID, I'm arguing, is worse. And we're done with it because we have a 10-second memory. And it's gonna get worse for millions of Americans very quickly now. It's been worse for millions of Americans, family. Even before COVID hit, we hadn't addressed poverty and inequality and racism, gender discrimination. So I'm just saying, when it comes to the scale of things Americans should fear, COVID should be one of them, versus a scary Muslim person that we've created as a stereotype. And relating that back
But
to
Andrea, it's easy to attack the stereotype.
oh, right. She's so right though. It is easy. Please take the hard path, family. Take the fucking hard path. Because that's why we're dying. Is we're not taking the hard path. We go with the grain. And it's easier to agree with the people on the television or our family members, even if they're wrong, because it's hard. It's hard to do the right thing. But people's lives are on the line. And what's happening now, right? 9/11 created more Islamophobia and allowed it to be more violently open. Trump's administration as a backlash of Obama's administration, right? How dare America elect a black man to the White House? So we elect Trump. It was a backlash to that. And now we have a COVID pandemic. We have more social issues that are prevalent, but because of these backlashes of racism, now you're allowed to be openly racist. Now you're allowed to put it in legislation and criminalize people for talking about race in states like Arizona. So if you're a school teacher in Arizona, they've recently passed legislation. If you make any of your students uncomfortable or ashamed of who they are, or talk about oppression or slavery, you can be fined up to $5,000, lose your teaching license, and that parent's family is allowed to sue you as a personal citizen and go after your assets.
Aren't they also shutting down abortion rights in Texas?
Whew. That's a whole other podcast episode.
Yeah, if you're in Texas, vote. Fucking vote. Go.
Please, please vote.
Educate yourself, please.
But all of these issues, like, they have significance. So I'm just saying, one attack, 20 years later, we still feel the effects. 18 months of COVID, we need more governmental intervention, family. Let's start with that rallying cry. But going back to comparing 9/11 to COVID, because Islamophobia was made legal, because the government was pushing that propaganda, during COVID, this has been labeled as a China disease. And Chinese Americans and immigrants who are here in the United States, or people who are visiting in the United States, anyone who's literally even mistaken as being for Chinese in the United States is suffering backlash for increases in racism. We've had reports from graduate students around the country who've been refused housing because they're Chinese or look Chinese, and Americans are afraid that they're going to bring the virus to their families. Right. And so it's literally putting their ability to operate and be safe in the United States at risk because of a political agenda in labeling this a China disease. So family, I'm asking you again, history keeps repeating itself.
Wasn't the Spanish flu thought to have actually started in America, but it was called the Spanish flu because Spain was the only people talking about it because they were taking measures against it.
Oh, propaganda. Sorry, Carolyn, anything to add?
No.
Your topic, and we completely took it over.
I'm just saying, we could do something better, you guys.
Oh, she did. I just kind of didn't stop her.
What segment are, oh, sorry, family. But I'm just saying, let's be kind to each other and be more humanizing in our interactions. And be more critical about what's actually happening, family. Who are the real enemies? Because let's be honest, we are an oligarchy, which means we are ruled by the few in power and the wealthy. We are ruled by the 1%ers, and our presidents, our senators, our congressmen come from them. So let's make some stuff change. Any other reflections on 9/11?
No, I'm done.
Not on 9/11 specifically.
Final reflect. Okay, well, now we're on final reflections and thank you.
Final reflections.
Final reflections. I'm sorry, Carolyn. I'm sorry.
We railroaded you.
It's okay.
We love you.
We do. Well, she does. I don't really know you that well, but I do adore you a bit.
That is high praise coming from her, considering people she's known for like a decade are still that person. So I'm just saying that's high praise from. Anyways, we love you, family. I guess my final reflections are thank you so much for being part of our global family. Please keep inspiring other people by creating the change that you want to be in your communities. What do you guys say? What's your final word?
I've been reflecting a lot on it, and I really do like the phrase, and I really try to take it to heart. All people have unalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. All people. I mean, it's stated in the Constitution, but I'm fairly sure. Oh, yes, another thing. Remember, Jesus says the rich are immoral. So keep that in mind, too.
Do you have a quote for that?
Well, he states it on several occasions. The closest story I can talk about is when they went into a church one time, Jesus, his disciples, and a wealthy man gave 10% of his many riches, saying, "Look how much I can give for all my bountiful wealth." But a poor woman came in with only like a pittance to her name, and she said, "I truly hope that this does something for someone," and gave what she had, which is just pittance. And in the end, Jesus said that she had given more, for she had given everything she had, whereas the rich man had given only a fraction of his great wealth that meant nothing to him to part with.
That's a good point.
Yep.
Makes my heart little. Yeah, that's a good place. Carolyn, you're gonna have the last word.
My last word is just be kind.